and welcome to day 9 of the Colouring Roulette Challenge. Our page is fast filling up, so let's see what we have to work with today. Today it's looking like we are going to be using Holbein pencils, so just make sure I write this down before I forget. Holbein pencils, and the colours, let's have a look when it stopped clapping at me. The colours are going to be, come on, please don't be blue, please don't be blue. Red, orange, which I think we might have had somewhere, maybe. Maybe not. So red, orange, what else? Blue, violet, here we go. I'm seriously thinking of taking this off the wheel. I don't know, right, okay, and thirdly, orange. So we've got two oranges. We're going to have to find something that is quite different to one another, I think, in order to make this work. So I'll grab my Holbeins and I'll see what we've got. Alright, so I've cheated maybe a little, but I'd like to say that I'm just using some ingenuity. So what I decided to do, because we've got our Holbeins today and they have such an amazing, beautiful range of pastel colours, I thought we'd stick to the colours that we had chosen by the wheel, but we will choose the pastel variants of those colours. So essentially, it is the right colour, it's just toned down a little bit. So here we've got the red orange, and for this one I've chosen coral, which is basically a reddish orange. It's just a different type of reddish orange. And then for the blue violet, because we've seen this colour so many times over this challenge, I thought this will work really well for that as well, because it will be a completely different shade that we've seen before. So this one is called Smalt Blue. I'll give you the numbers. This one's 339 and the coral was 024. And then for the orange, I've picked Apricot number 131, and this is a really palish orange, but it's kind of the furthest orange I could get away from the coral, which isn't too different, but I've tried my best. So for this one, I thought we'd do this little mushroom house, and I'm just going to get straight into it. I think I'll use the coral for the main part of this larger mushroom. And I think I'll work from the outside in gradient wise. Now, a really great thing about these colours is that we can actually use the apricot with the coral, because it is kind of like a lighter colour of the coral. Maybe not perfectly, but I think it will go really nicely if we want to maybe add some of that apricot in as a colour to kind of lift it off the page. So we'll try that out. I'm just really excited to be using some different kinds of colours than what the wheel has said, even though I'm keeping within the remit of the challenge. So yeah, Holbein are beautiful pencils, and I tell you what, they are gliding on this paper like none of the others have done so far. I often forget how good they are, but again, as with all pencils, the paper is the thing that swings it. You can use some pencils on one kind of paper and it's absolutely brilliant, and then you move to another and you can't see the fuss. So really, if you find yourself a good paper to print your images out on, just stick with it for life. Especially if you're using the same sort of coloured pencils. If you've maybe got 1 or 2 sets and you don't have, this whole range of pencils to choose from, if you find yourself a good paper that works well with them, you set. So I think this is going to look really nice on the page because of it being so pastel and more delicate shades than what we've got already. I think it's going to really stick out, I think. I usually hate having to colour round things, but this isn't too bad. There's not too many spots on here. I don't know if you get like that. Sometimes I'll just colour over it and then add the spots back in with white gel pen if I'm going to use white. Just for quickest and easiest. I'm sort of lazy in that way. I like to get a page done and move on. I know a lot of people like to spend time agonising over a page because it's that kind of level of detail that makes it an enjoyable process for them, but for me it's not. So I like to get it done, I like it to look good and be finished so I can move on to the next one. So I've done a little bit of coral around there. May just add a slight bit of this apricot, and again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see what difference this is making on the camera, but I'm not going to go, you know, full pressure to get that fully saturated colour. I'm just going to do a really, really light layer of it over the inside of where we've put the coral, and it does just lift it a little bit. Often if you do add yellow to things, it does lift it from the page a little bit. When I finish this challenge altogether, I'm going to take photographs so that you can see the colours properly, because I know that different cameras and video you know, processing and that, it changes the colour and you probably aren't seeing what I'm seeing. So I'll take some photographs and I'll see if I can get them near as damn it to what they actually look like, and we can see what we've achieved over the 16 days. So like I said, I'm not sure whether you'll be able to really tell. Hopefully you can, but that looks really, really nice, and it's just changed it up that little bit. So I'm going to move on to the little mushroom down here, and I'm going to do this in the smalt blue, purely because I want some differentiation going on here. And I'm going to do a little bit of shadow underneath where the large mushroom overlaps it. So that's where the majority of my dark colour hard pressure will be. And then let's sort of bring the colour around the bottom and make this area a bit of a highlight. So yeah, if you are ever colouring something red, it might be nice, as I say, just to add that little bit of yellow. For example, if you're colouring red lips, and I think I learnt this from Helen Elliston, if you're colouring red lips, put a little bit of yellow on the highlight and it just does something to it I can't really describe. It just makes it so much more dynamic, and I don't really know why. Also, I think she said add some indigo as the darkest parts, the shadowed areas of the lips. Maybe the two colours together as the highlight and shadow just works for some reason, I don't know. So this smalt blue, it's one of these colours that almost looks the same no matter what level of pressure you're using, which is kind of annoying, but at least we've got a little bit of a highlight on there anyway. My throat is so croaky. I think it's allergies. It's getting that time of year now. I've been taking my inhalers when I remember, my allergy medication, so should be keeping it under control. The thing is, you can't cough or clear your throat anywhere nowadays. People just look at you like you're gonna give them leprosy or something. So you kind of keep it in and then end up doing a huge coughing fit that defeats the purpose in the first place and clears the room. And people are so scared they're going to catch this COVID. Alright, so I think I've done all that I can do on that one. Like I said, it's one of these colours that isn't really making too much of a difference in tone, no matter what we do. So I'm just again wondering what colour mixing we'll be able to achieve on this. So maybe if I just do some blue on the bottom and then test both of the colours. So first the coral and then the apricot. See, they're quite opaque. They're not they're not really translucent, so they're not mixing together very well. It's not really making much difference to each shade. Let's try the coral and the apricot. So really that's not a great deal of difference from the individual colours. Let's put the apricot on the bottom and the coral on the top. Yeah, it's not too much difference there, is there really? What if I do one coral and then one apricot and put the smalt blue on top? Will that give us anything? Oh, do one apricot. Let's have a look. Let's try and put the apricot on top again. Does that do anything? I wonder if we could try and make a purple out of this coral and smalt blue. Just do a bit more of a saturated swatch. Try again. No, it's just coming up very muddy. So we'll just work with what we've got. So really what I wanted was something underneath the mushroom to look a little bit like shadow. So maybe it will work on a smaller and lighter area. So if I just put a bit of this smalt blue underneath, but not a lot, and then cover it in the coral, maybe it will give us a look of some sort of shade, possibly. Well, I mean, it certainly looks darker than the top bit, but like I said, they're quite opaque and they're not wanting to mix, so I think that's the best we're going to get. But at least it's given us a slight shadow area. Okay, so I might actually do the smalt blue on the stem of this mushroom as well. So just shadow right underneath and then really light as we go toward the bottom. What happens if we do try and gradiate the blue into the coral? Yeah, it's just not going to work. I keep trying to put a square peg in a round hole. I don't think it's working. They're so soft, these pencils. They're beautiful to use, just not very good for mixing. Alright, so I'll stick with the smalt blue then, just as a one colour gradient on this. And I might even do that on here as well. So this is all one colour. We don't have to do every section in different colours. We can make it all one colour. And it kind of does serve to sort of push it into the background a little bit. There we go. We'll also use this smalt blue as a little bit of a metallic look to the chimney as well, because it looks like it'd be made out of old pipes and things in the scrapyard. And then I think I'll use the coral for the door so it ties in. Try and leave a tiny bit of highlight in the middle. And I think I'm going to use the apricot for the leaves. Or should I? Should I use the apricot for the flowers and the coral for the leaves? I think that's what I'll do. So the apricot for these flowers. Again, just doing a really quick, simple gradation of colour so that it's darker on the inside and it's lighter towards the edge of the petals. I'd love to see what you know, really skilled artists could do with this challenge, how they would make it look amazingly realistic. Not sure how they would with such a limited palette, but I'd love to see them try anyway. I'm going to use the smalt blue for the curtains as well, purely because we've got the coral and the apricot already in quite a large quantity around it. And then I said coral for the leaves, didn't I? So what I might do, well, I'll probably end up just sticking to the one colour gradient. That's the word I'm looking for. Now there is a little tiny circular window in this mushroom, but there's nothing we can do with it, it's too small. So I'm going to leave it as is. Maybe if I do add just a little bit of apricot though, it would look like a bit of light in there. I don't know if it does. Might do the same with this as well. But leave quite a bit of white in the centre so it does look a bit more like a glow. It's the white that makes it glow, not the orange or the yellow, which is the funny sort of paradox of it. So leave that bit of white there. And what else do I need to do? Let's do the middles of these flowers in the smalt blue to tie it in. These pencils do get blunt quite fast because they are so soft. I'm just not sure whether to colour the spots on the large mushroom or whether to leave them white. I think it might actually be best to leave them white, and I might even come in with a bit of white gel pen just to clean them up a little bit, because I have gone over. So let's just clean those up. There we go, that's nice. I feel like I want to do something else with this, but I don't know what. I'm thinking of maybe using the apricot just to ground this little illustration. Because there have been others on this page that have had grass and ground and a base on them that I've just kind of ignored. But I feel like with this one it just needed something else. It can be as simple as just putting a little bit of shadow underneath, or something that shows you that it's sat on a surface rather than floating on the page. I don't want to go too much with it. Just realise that I need to clean these little spots up as well. There we are. I think we're done, you know. I don't think I'm going to have a look if I add this blue as a slight bit more shadow. I'm going so lightly with it because I don't want to mess up. Just want to see if I can get a little bit of a shadow on there. Very cautious. I don't know, it's very subtle. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But we've tried. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. I have. This one's been really cool because we're using sort of desaturated colours. So we're cheating the wheel a little bit, but I think it looks really cute. Hope you agree, and I'll see you tomorrow.